like you said, customer experience and customer personalization is something that's very important. So, how can startups identify and leverage their USPs to gain a competitive advantage in the market?
It all starts with the identification of the unmet needs of the customer segment. The unmet needs can be in terms of the quality, it can be in terms of time, it can be in terms of product accessibility, etc. So first is identification of the needs. That is the right identification of the needs, whether that really that gap exists in the market or not. Now, once you are able to identify that yes, that gaps exist in the market, then after that, is that gap uh, or is there demand such that it can sustain a long-term business proposition around it? So that's the second thing that needs to come in. Third thing is, and this is step-by-step approach. Third thing that needs to come in is there a disruptive or a technology-led solution that can address to this? If first two tick in the boxes are there, then is there any disruptive technology solution which is not being provided in the market today that can uh, serve the underserved markets, right? And then how it is going to make the difference to the end consumer. So a stepwise procedure in terms of this will help in identifying that this is the area where you want to go, and along the way you'll be able, when you are addressing an unmet need, you will say that, hey, these are the three top ways in which this startup, using people, process, technology, is addressing these kinds of needs, and those will be the USP of that particular startup. And of course, like I said, the packaging, pricing, all that thing comes into the play.
Sir, I have a similar question to what you mentioned, like how important is customer feedback and post-sales customer retention, and what is the best practices that startups should follow in this regard?
Okay, sure. So, needless to say, customer feedback is super critical. If a customer doesn't give a feedback and goes away, he cannot do more damage to your organization. Okay. If a customer gives a feedback, accept that feedback as a gift to you, because then it helps in improving your service to that. So first is that organizations, startups especially, have to be open to customer feedback. Many of the times they are not open to customer feedback. Then once the customer feedback is there, then channelizing that customer, whether it's an operations issue, whether it's a technology issue, whether it's a process issue, whether it's a people issue or the product issue. So then segmenting that feedback into various buckets, and then understanding the back-end process, or the things that are why that is not working for a particular customer. Is that a one-off case, or is there a larger issue to be resolved? For example, in Diwali times, or for example in any festive season times, or any peak times, the application becomes very, very slow, right? Just as an example. Now, and the organization, the startup is losing, say, 10%, 20% business to another organization. So if the startup start getting a feedback like that earlier, that there's a latency, etc., and is not addressing that in the right way, in terms of increasing the bandwidth, in terms of increasing or maybe changing the tech stack which is there in the back end, or maybe including different logins, etc., then certainly it will open a window for competitors to eat into their market share, right? Very, very quickly. So very important to take customer feedback, segment, and then address the issues in a timely manner very, very quickly, because there are customers who will not give you a second chance. And it's needless to say, you can find in many studies and results that lifetime value of customers, and the cost of acquiring a new customer versus the cost of getting a repeat business from the customer is very, very different. For example, a dollar revenue or a rupee revenue from an existing customer will maybe may cost around the cost of acquisition maybe 2 to 3%, but a dollar revenue or a rupee revenue from a new customer the cost of that revenue, the cost of acquisition of that revenue may be 10 to 15%, right? So it's very, very important to keep the existing customers loyal to you, to ring fence those customers so that they don't go away from your ecosystem. And even if they have the issue, they speak out. They don't keep it to themselves, and then they do a silent quitting, which we call, right, of that. So that's something that I firmly believe, for especially for today's startups.
Yes, sir.